Hi, this is a summary of the 2013 Academy Awards, and I'll err on the side of relative brevity. And first thing I'll say is, folks of a certain age, Bob Hope is not coming back to life. Billy Crystal, after 2012, needs to stay retired. But at the same time, I can understand the pain of older people as just about each year the Motion Picture Academy decides that they are going to try to cater to youth, to win back the former super high ratings of those days when cable competition wasn't in the picture. So each year, to varying effect, they try for different hosts. They get David Letterman, and he's not perceived as reverent enough of Hollywood customs and etiquette, as witness the Oprah joke. They get Chris Rock, and Chris Rock is perceived as too cutting about the rituals of Hollywood, such as the dichotomy between what wins and what the majority of the public goes to see, and then making jokes about how the industry wants to sell the public Jude Law as a viable, bankable leading man several times in a given year, and that's not acceptable either. And then I'm not sure if anyone remembers like Jon Stewart, or there was, of course, the James Franco and Anne Hathaway year, where if Anne Hathaway had hosted with, say, Hugh Jackman, then everything would have been fine. And this year, they went with Seth MacFarlane, and Seth MacFarlane was chosen because he's not, admittedly, a political, edgy kind of comic. So, in essence, they kind of wanted him to be the 2% milk version of Ricky Gervais hosting the Golden Globes. And with MacFarlane, there were some funny lines, and there were also some that were sort of like very inside and probably too inside for the global audience that is busy working and not worrying about show business. But at the same time, too, with Seth MacFarlane, you're not going to get jokes about drones or Bradley Manning or the really serious things going on in the world outside the Kodak Theater. And so, moving along, Zero Dark 30, one technical award, and maybe the proof of Zero Dark 30 winning only one technical Oscar is that it's one thing for Catherine Bigelow and Mark Bold to do The Hurt Locker and be a total fictional war story and just deal with the mechanics of war as practiced in Iraq, and it's done in a sort of political vacuum away from the political realities of left, right, fundamentalist or otherwise. But to try to do the the capture or not capture, but the pursuit and killing of one of the most wanted terrorists of all time, Osama bin Laden, and trying to do that in a non-political way, big studio release, even though it was done by Annapurna, which is Megan Ellison's company, to try to do Zero Dark 30 in a vacuum where you sort of go through the cafeteria and pick the fictional moments and the true moments, and the fact that it lived up to what some early word said, that it was just essentially a CIA propaganda that was pro harshness, or to use the less euphemistic word, torture. Well, you can see that it was not the CIA film that the mainstream of the Academy wanted to honor. Instead, it was Argo, which was entertaining, apparently a fair amount of fictionalization, but it's sort of like not the it wasn't about the CIA torturing people and stuffing them into boxes. It was more like the CIA doing Mission Impossible type of stuff, where they passed people off and had them role play and get past the guards. So it was like Mission Impossible, or you could say that the fictionalized Tony Mendez that Ben Affleck played, that the antecedents for that go back to Robert Wagner and the old TV series It Takes a Thief. And going to music real quick, Barbara Streisand, Adele, and the great Dame Shirley Bassey all acquitted themselves well in their own styles, but I kind of wonder why it was that the main orchestra wasn't able to put themselves in the Kodak Theater, but instead be sort of like, down in the recording area of the Capitol Tower over on Vine. So that's a mystery, and maybe it'll be clarified someday. And let's have a word for Steven Spielberg and his penchant every time he's nominated for a film of his to try to choreograph things in the case of him winning. This year with Lincoln, he had former President Bill Clinton at the Globes, and for the presentation of Best Picture, they did a remote from Washington and had the First Lady, Michelle Obama, along with like feel-good stuff, and as irony would have it, instead of opening the envelope and saying Lincoln, she said Argo. And if you remember in 98, 99 actually, the Spielberg had all the people lined up on stage to give him the coronation for Saving Private Ryan, including Harrison Ford. And then Harrison Ford said, Shakespeare in love, in the most dispirited way possible. And I guess the interesting thing is I need to catch up with it's certainly feature-length documentaries, but it's interesting that both the feature-length and short subject documentaries this year went to films that were more about ennobling and making you feel better rather than y- things that like the Kirby Dick Invisible War were trying to like do the classic documentary thing of shedding light on subjects people kind of need to be aware of. And I'm hoping to catch up with that film and some of the others that were overlooked. So, um, for the finale, let's go back to Seth MacFarlane. Given the outrage factor of mainstream media and the internet, I'm predicting that uh, probably he's like Letterman and like Chris Rock. Seth MacFarlane had his 1 year, and who knows what 2014 could bring. I'm making a educated guess that young people will still be chased, and next year for 2014 could be Justin Timberlake hosting with the team of Andy Samberg and Jorma Taccone writing special musical material for him, but nothing like I got my PP in a box, nothing like that. Instead, uh, you know, edgy but safe mainstream stuff, and maybe a lot of publicity about how it was, 2014 will be 10 years since the wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl, and now how Justin Timberlake's a nice man in his 30s, and he's grown up, and he's redeeming himself in the eyes of mainstream Hollywood, and a good citizen worldwide. So on that note, that's my 12 minutes plus of rambling about the 2013 Academy Awards, and hopefully get to do this again in the future. Thanks.